Scenarios carry weight when they are drawn from real threats, recent incidents, and credible near misses. Start with a concise storyline that names the crown jewels at stake, the suspected vector, and the early signals that will arrive. Build injects that arrive on a schedule and force timely interpretation. An anonymous login from a privileged identity, an endpoint detection and response alert for suspicious process lineage, a cloud role change without a matching ticket, or a spike in egress from a regulated data store. Vary inject clarity so teams confront conflicting or partial evidence as they would on a bad day. Each inject should have a purpose, a timestamp, and a target audience, and should push a decision gate rather than merely entertaining the room. Scenarios that rhyme with lived risk make practice transfer to production. Roles, alternates, and observers must be assigned before the clock starts, and everyone deserves a short pre-brief. Roles include the incident commander, technical leads for identity, endpoint, network, and cloud, case manager, evidence custodian, legal and privacy liaisons, and communications lead. Alternates ensure continuity if someone is unavailable or conflicted. Observers watch timing, language, and adherence to playbooks without steering decisions. Their notes become the spine of the hot wash. The pre-brief establishes scope, boundaries, safety controls, and the evidence capture plan, so no one improvises storage locations or forgets to preserve chat and logs. Clear seating prevents the two most common rehearsal failures, role confusion and decision drift when the first surprise lands.
Decisions should be time-boxed with explicit gates that trigger containment, notifications, or failover moves. A gate might state, if step-up verification fails for a privileged account within 5 minutes, disable the account and revoke tokens. Or, if ransomware encryption is observed on more than 2 endpoints in a protected segment, isolate the segment and switch the file service to read-only. Gates replace debate with action by making thresholds and authorities visible. They also protect the business by embedding reversibility and verification checkpoints. Roll back a block rule if error rates exceed a defined tolerance, or restore access after a second factor succeeds and logs show origin logic is benign. Drills that enforce gates build the muscle to act early without causing collateral damage.
Artifacts are the evidence of performance and the raw material for improvement. Preserve chat logs, paging traces, case records, tickets, screenshots, timeline exports, and change approvals, and tag each to the playbook step it supports. When possible, store raw and normalized versions of key logs alongside event identifiers so analysts can reproduce queries and counsel can defend chain of custody decisions later. The goal is not to drown in data, but to keep a thin, complete thread from signal to action to verification. In mature programs, the artifact set is small and predictable because it reflects the minimum needed to rewalk the incident, test conclusions, and show that decisions matched authority and thresholds. Real incidents never respect org charts, so drills must practice cross-team coordination. Legal and privacy weigh notification triggers, preserve privilege, and set retention and hold expectations. Communications crafts messages that inform without speculation. Facilities manages physical safety and access. Vendors and regulators may play decisive roles when contracts or laws define clocks and approvals. Integrating these partners in rehearsal surfaces real constraints. Who can approve what language is pre-approved, what evidence must be attached, and prevents the "we'll loop them in later" reflex that burns hours on game day. Cross-team practice also inoculates against blame language by building a shared vocabulary for trade-offs. Stress handoffs and paging reliability until they feel boring, and plan for backup communications when primary channels fail. Validate that on-call rotations page the right human, that acknowledgements land within the window, and that escalation paths promote decisions automatically. Kill the primary chat or conferencing tool mid-drill and move to the agreed secondary channel. Verify that evidence capture continues without gaps. Practice how the incident commander hands the baton at shift change, including a compact status line, open decisions, and the next gate on the clock. Handoffs and comms failures are where many real incidents go sideways. Rehearsal is where you turn them into routine mechanics. Curveballs expose brittle assumptions and make success robust rather than lucky. Drop conflicting signals that force triagers to validate parsers and look for known benign patterns. Remove a critical person to test alternates and keep authority moving. Simulate a partial outage that breaks a dependency you usually take for granted, such as identity during a failover. Adjust injects midstream to mimic adversary adaptation or environmental drift, and require teams to document the hypothesis that justifies each move despite ambiguity. The aim is not to embarrass anyone, it is to reveal where success depends on a single component, a single person, or an untested belief. Curveballs make improvements pointed and durable. A hot wash conducted immediately after the drill consolidates learning while memory is fresh. Focus on decisions, timings, evidence quality, and communication clarity rather than abstract judgments. Capture what worked, what lagged, what broke, and what nearly broke, and convert each observation into a crisp remediation item with an owner, a due date, and the evidence that will prove completion. Publish a lessons learned report that preserves the scenario, the inject schedule, the timeline, the metrics, and the remediation list. Store it where governance expects to find it and where future drills will use it as a benchmark. The hot wash is where adrenaline becomes improvement. Improvements must be tracked to completion and verified by retest or they fade into folklore. Treat remediation as work, not advice. Ticket it, assign it, schedule it, and measure it. When an item lands, say expanding endpoint detection and response coverage or tightening web application firewall block rules, schedule a quick micro drill that exercises the change in context and captures the same metrics as the original gap. Retesting is how you prove that the drill produced gains you can bank on, not just insights you can recite. Close the loop with a short note in the lessons learned record so the lineage from issue to fix to proof is visible. Scenario rotation prevents a narrow kind of excellence and keeps muscle balanced. Ransomware drills test segmentation, backup immutability, credential hygiene, and restore timing. Cloud outages test failover, identity dependencies, and provider communications. Physical breaches test access control, device imaging, and chain of custody. Privacy incidents test data subject rights handling, legal clocks, and messaging discipline. Rotate difficulty and stakes, and vary which crown jewels are at risk so no team becomes complacent. Each scenario family should have at least one tabletop, one functional exercise, and an occasional constrained full-scale event, all measured against the same core metrics so comparisons hold. Consider a compact storyline that moves fast. A payroll administrator's account authenticates from two distant regions within 4 minutes, followed by an admin console token reuse. The first page lands and the core team assembles in 3 minutes. Step-up verification fails, the identity lead disables the account and revokes tokens per the gate. Endpoint detection and response isolates the device. The web application firewall enables a precise block on the payroll admin route. Legal confirms no regulated data access so far. Communications prepares an internal note with the next checkpoint time. Within 9 minutes, containment is verified. Logs, token metadata, and change tickets are attached to the case. A short recovery step restores normal access for other users. Timers, owners, and evidence appear in the live timeline. The hot wash later assigns improvements for token revocation propagation and alternate approvers for after-hours containment. In conclusion, convert intent into a 60-day drill plan with named owners, clear objectives, and success criteria tied to the same metrics you will use on a bad day. Schedule at least one tabletop that validates authority and communication, one functional exercise that times paging, triage, and containment, and a constrained full-scale event that rehearses failover with rollback. For each, state the scenario, the gates, the measures, the evidence to collect, and the remediation acceptance tests that will prove improvement. When rehearsal is planned, measured, and repeated, plans stop being decorations and start being performance you can trust. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.